Now, in the auto industry, we are at the beginning of a turning point between internal combustion and electrification. And if you guys are truly wondering, is that actually going to happen in the next couple of years? Well, today I'm in a Jeep Wrangler, and as you guys know, the Jeep Wrangler is probably the vehicle that represents Jeep as a whole. This is the most iconic vehicle that you can buy that's American branded. And I'm here in Austin, Texas because Jeep is finally releasing the first ever plug-in hybrid, an electrified version of the Wrangler. We essentially have the same 2-liter turbo engine up front, a 17 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery pack underneath the rear seat. And Jeep says that you could theoretically drive this thing a total of 21 miles on all-electric range, which means you could take it off-roading like I just did in pure silence, because this vehicle has the ability to drive on all-electric power alone, even in low range. Now, of course, because this is also a Jeep, it needs to be trail rated. And as you can see, this particular one that I'm showing you here is the Rubicon version. It doesn't give up anything in terms of off-road capability to its gas-only version. Right behind me is the Sahara high-altitude version, so that's a more road-ready version. Now, obviously, I'm not in my local area. Jeep has brought me out to around 2 hours south of Austin, Texas, where we're going to be taking this Rubicon version off-roading. The Sahara version I'm going to take actually on the road because I want to see what the electric range is like. And if you guys are in the market for a Wrangler, but you're also looking for an electric car, does the new 4xe represent the best of both worlds? Stay tuned to find out. So Jeep has a huge off-road course for us at the lunch stop, but obviously people who buy the 4xe, I believe, are going to be primarily driving it around town. I mean, most people who buy Wranglers are going to be driving this vehicle on the road anyway. So I'm in a high-altitude model, which is based off of the Sahara trim level. This is the more street-oriented version. And there's 3 different drive modes here. There's hybrid, electric, and e-save. E-save basically allows you to preserve the battery, or you can also recharge it if you want to charge up the battery while you're driving. We've got to get out of the city of Austin here, so I'm going to start off in the electric mode here. And I'm also going to turn on the max regen, which basically allows for the one-pedal drive feature, which is really strange to see in a Jeep. But we are just setting off here. Route recalculation. In the plug-in hybrid Wrangler, and this is so strange. This Wrangler is driving around right now on no engine. There's no engine. The gas engine is completely shut off. It is creating kind of an electric motor whirring noise that it sounds like a rushing noise. It's supposed to let pedestrians know who are distracted on their cell phones probably that you've got, you know, a quiet vehicle approaching. This noise that it creates does it at around 25 miles per hour or less. You can hear it. It's like a little whoosh, rushing electronic noise. And I'm lifting off the throttle here. You can feel the regen braking is pretty strong in this car. It's not quite the full one-pedal drive that I experienced in something like the Mach-E or a lot of Tesla products, but you don't typically find this in an electric, in a hybrid vehicle like this. 900 feet, turn left onto Brushy Street. That is pretty cool. Now, the electric motor only offers around 134 horsepower on its own and 181 pound-feet of torque, so obviously you're going to get maximum acceleration when you've got it in its hybrid mode. But this is plenty quick for around town. And the cool thing about the Sahara trim is this is the more street-oriented model, so we've got tires that aren't quite as big. We've got a suspension that doesn't have as much ground clearance as the Rubicon, but it still very much feels like a Wrangler. I really like the way these 20-inch wheels look on this thing. 35 north, south. Sorry, Rob. But I can still hear that rushing, whirring noise up to around 30 miles an hour in this thing, and it gets louder as I put my foot down. So it's a really cool experience. It's a futuristic experience. So the fact that we've got, you know, electrified Wrangler like this on, you know, America's most iconic vehicle is a really cool thing indeed. I mean, it really shows the turning point of electrification, how they are starting to, you know, take the place of internal combustion vehicles. We're going to continue to see more and more of these vehicles. Now, the one that I'm driving also has the one-touch power soft top, so it's got essentially a hard top on the outside, but the roof panel is a fabric material, and it allows me to basically put the entire roof back. I was hoping that this model would give me a little bit more sound insulation from the outside world, but as you can hear as we get up to highway speeds, it's still pretty noisy out in the cabin. Wranglers are not known for offering, obviously, a quiet interior. But I'm still in electric mode right now, and you can see the gas engine has not come on. Still just driving on pure electric mode. When I started this trip, by the way, I want to mention the range was showing 26 miles. 26 miles is pretty good. That's around 5 miles more than what the EPA says this thing can go. Remember, Jeep said originally this would have 25 miles of range, but the actual number is 21. I imagine the Rubicon model has less range because of its, bigger, knobbier 33-inch tall tires. This is a 5,000-pound brick, and there's only so much range you can pull out of a brick because it is just not aerodynamic. Jeep didn't do anything to actually make the 4xe model a little bit more aerodynamic, but you can see out on the highway at highway speeds, it's still pretty loud in here, but the Wrangler is a much more comfortable vehicle in general. The seats are pretty comfortable. The Sahara trim, or this high altitude version, has a really nice plusher leather material that feels good. The Regen brakes also are really nice. I barely have to touch the brake when traffic comes to a stop, and it automatically brakes for me, and it's also putting energy back into the battery pack, which is a great thing. That's the one beauty about these one-pedal drive features, is you can save your brake pads. You don't have to use your friction brakes as much. But this is essentially what a lot of Wrangler 4xe owners are going to experience. You're going to be driving it out around town in downtown Austin right here, trying to get out of the city, be in stop-and-go traffic. You're going to be out on the road. So yes, the Wrangler is all about capability and being able to go off the beaten path. But this is where the majority of people are going to go. Now I'm going to switch the car over to hybrid mode. When I switch it over to hybrid mode here, this is where it's going to adapt automatically between the gas and the electric motor for the best possible efficiency. Now, the interesting thing about this mode is when I put my foot down, the gas engine does turn on when I put my foot down, and it also did the same thing in electric mode. When I had it in all electric mode, if I floored it, the gas engine will come on to assist you to give a little bit more power. That's something actually that surprised me, and it's similar to the last Pacifica plug-in that I drove, because it doesn't allow for complete all-electric only when you demand maximum acceleration. So now that we're mostly on the highway here, I'm going to actually put it into its e-save mode. E-save mode, I have it tailored right now to save the battery pack because I want to be able to utilize it later on the trail. I can also go into the screen here and change the setting to charge the battery pack. Right now the battery pack is showing 86% charge, 22 miles of range, so I don't need to charge it, but I do want to primarily use the gas engine so that we can save it for the trails later. And out on the highway, the 4xe essentially drives like every other Wrangler, although you do notice the extra weight. This version doesn't feel quite as top heavy as the just the regular gas engine only versions, because it's carrying an extra 800 pounds of weight. And of course, with the electric motor, the battery pack, it's kind of lower in the floor, so it's supposed to help with the center of gravity a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't be taking corners like a sports car in this thing, but you do notice the extra weight in the Wrangler, which will help with handling abilities. Putting my foot down completely here for full throttle, you can feel that this is actually pretty quick. This feels way faster than the last Pentastar and just the 2-liter turbo Wrangler that I drove. And it's because the electric motor is adding its e-assist here. So I'll put it back into hybrid mode here, put our foot down again. And you can feel the transmission takes a second for it to downshift, but it'll get up to highway speeds very quickly. I mean, what you do here, however, is a lot of noise. Even with the one-touch sky top, the with the hardtop and the soft roof panel, for the sunroof feature, it's still a pretty loud vehicle in here, and you're going to notice that noise even when you're above 55 miles an hour. So again, if you're thinking the Wrangler is a really quiet, comfortable highway car, it still isn't. It rides a lot better and the seats are better, but it's still pretty damn noisy out on the highway at higher speeds. Now, even though the 4xe weighs in at around 800 pounds more, this has roughly the same torque as the V8 Wrangler. So let's try a standstill acceleration. And 0 to 60 in 6 seconds is what Jeep tells us. It feels a little soft off the line. Now, I did have it in 2-wheel drive, which Jeep says for maximum acceleration, you want to actually put it into 4x4 auto, which the auto setting is kind of like the set it and forget it setting, so you don't necessarily need to worry about it when it's slippery outside, so all you have to do is basically just floor it. So we're gonna try it now again in 4x auto, because remember, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds makes this pretty quick, honestly. And as you can see, my camera guy is right next to me in a Rubicon model. Why not? We'll have a little impromptu drag race here. I'm in the Sahara version, or the Sahara version, the high altitude. He's in the more off-road ready version with the 33-inch tall BF Grid Ridge tires. I'll turn off the traction control as well, because I don't want anything cutting the power, even though it's in 4x4 auto right now. Oh! Wow, that is pretty impressive. Definitely notice it's a lot faster when you have it in 4x auto and you turn off the traction control. This thing just leaps off the line. 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. Definitely feels that way. That is pretty sweet. And the gas engine, it has that typical 2-liter 4-cylinder drone. The 8-speed automatic is interesting. It's a little sluggish though when you are trying to pass people. When you put your foot down when you're just kind of cruising at 40, it is a little sluggish to respond. I imagine a CVT would be quicker. It would make it even quicker, but I applaud Jeep for not going with that route, because they offer an e-CVT in the Pacifica hybrid, but I'm really happy that they went with the 8-speed auto. This is going to be better, of course. Hello?
How does that make any sense?
Did you have it in...
I'm not that fat.
You're not fat. It's, did you have it in... Oh, I'm gonna stop here.
You can try again.
Yes, I still have it recording right now, so we're gonna try it again. Do you have it in 4x auto?
I'm in hybrid.
Okay, and then turn off traction control.
Lots of buttons, found it.
All right, so now let's try it again. Let's see if the Rubicon is the same. Floor it.
Come on! Son of a
Sorry, Rob. Where's my shirt that says sorry, Rob?
Right, I know.
So I think the reason being is because your model has those bigger tires.
Yep.
Those bigger tires are definitely cutting into...
I'm higher off the ground too, aren't I?
You have about an extra inch of ground clearance.
Yeah, so air, tires.
Would you like to try it again?
I mean, it's pretty much settled at this point. Is brake torquing it do anything? Ah! Aha! Ah! Come on! Come on!
All right, now they seem about... Oh. I'll tell you one thing, going highway speeds in this thing is interesting. It's loud in here. It's very loud.
You think it's loud in there? I've got the soft top.
I don't, honestly, I don't think this is any quieter. It's really loud in here.
Really? Is your retractable one a hard top or a soft top?
So the retractable part is a soft top.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's still pretty. Yeah, I got you.
It's still pretty noisy. So I was telling people, if you are expecting this to be quieter, you may want to go for the actual hardtop model and then add the hardtop headliner, which should make it a little quieter. But this soft top model is definitely a little bit louder. But as we saw, the Rubicon is slightly slower. I guess it kind of depends on whose reaction time is better, but extra inch of ground clearance, the bigger tires, it slows it down a little bit. I also think yours is heavier. Yours is heavier by a little bit because of the off-road.
Just by a little bit, other than the driver, of course.
Oh, stop.
I also, there's a lot of settings in here. I feel like I could probably sit in here for like 20 minutes getting everything set up and calibrated the way I wanted. Like, as far as not even just, regular driving stuff, but also the hybrid system. So, I don't know, there's a lot going on in this car.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I kind of like how they did that, because it makes you feel like you're driving a special Wrangler. I mean, once you set it up, you're gonna basically have it. But I would just drive like around. We've got 60 miles on this road here. It's probably best in e-save mode if you want to save it for the trail. But I do find that in hybrid mode, that's where it gives you the maximum acceleration. In e-save, it slows it down a little bit.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess let's stick with this for a while. Yeah, we can just go all the way. I don't care unless you need to stop to pee, whatever.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna finish up the driving scene on the road over here. Bad here.
Okay, sounds like. Okay. Oh, look, 2 Karens are gonna race. Yeah, bye.
All right, bye. So it's always fun when I can have my camera guy basically next to me in a different trim level of the car that we're driving. But as we saw, the 4xe, the Sahara trim, the Sahara trim, is the slightly quicker option because it's a little bit lighter. The tires are a little bit more road friendly. So if you want the one that's faster, go for this model, this trim. Now I want to briefly mention fuel economy. The trip computer right now says I'm averaging 20.6 mpg. That's bang on with the EPA's target. That is after a little bit of enthusiastic driving. Earlier it was showing 23 miles to the gallon, which is really good. Not quite as good, however, as the diesel Wrangler. The diesel Wrangler, the eco diesel, will actually get slightly better gas mileage. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the 4xe is the cooler option because this is the one, remember, that you could drive potentially in all-electric mode and not have to use any gas. If your commute is less than 10 miles one way to work, you could basically just plug this in every time you get home. Or if you could charge at work, if your commute's longer than 20 miles, you could potentially never have to fill this thing up with gas. Although I do wish that when I put my foot down in all-electric mode, the gas engine would not come on, but Jeep has it programmed that way, is my guess, because they want you to give you maximum acceleration, whereas Toyota and my RAV4 Prime does not, it locks out the gas engine, but then you have a slower 0 to 60 time. I also think that the electric motor in this vehicle at 134 horsepower is pretty powerful, but the one in the Prime, for example, is 180 horsepower almost, so it's just not quite as powerful. But other than that, really, really great car out on the road. But we're gonna get out on the trail and we're gonna switch into the Rubicon model and see how this thing performs off-road, because Jeep tells us that the off-road capability has not been compromised with this vehicle. Now, the Jeep Wrangler has quickly become the company's best-selling model, with Jeep moving a little over 200,000 units last year. This makes the car actually better selling versus something like a Honda Accord. That's right, Jeep outsold the Honda Accord in America last year, a car that has always been one of the top-selling vehicles. So as you can see, for the 4xe model, Jeep didn't really make too many changes to the exterior, so we're mostly just going to talk about the styling changes that you do see, with the very subtle ones. Now, first of all, I'm showing you the one here is a Rubicon trim. So this is the one that's essentially the more off-road oriented model. It has 10.8 inches of ground clearance, so it's about an inch more than the standard one. And you can see immediately all the blue accents on this car. You can see the tow recovery hooks are blue. You have some blue accents along the hood graphic, along the Rubicon badging here. Overall, you have the same design elements here. I love the steel bumper groups. Jeep says you haven't lost any of the off-road capability just because you've gone with the electrified version. The one option that I probably would add is the painted fenders. This one here has just the non-painted ones. This is probably gonna be better if you're planning to go off-roading, but I like the overall look when you got these painted. Now again, here's the charge port for the vehicle. 2 hours basically to charge. Jeep says that there are going to be chargers, solar powered chargers, on all of the big trailheads. So if you guys go to Moab, Utah, you're gonna find a level 2 charger there. Those are being installed as we speak. And again, ground clearance here, 10.8 inches. So the battery pack lives underneath the rear seat of the vehicle, and they've actually managed to raise it up a little bit so you have skid plates underneath protecting all of the hybrid componentry. This is, again, not going to give up anything in terms of the capability. I also like the unique wheels that you get on the Rubicon. These are a 17-inch wheel wrapped in 33-inch all-terrain BF Goodrich KO2 tires. These wheels and tires, again, aren't necessarily good for aerodynamics. Jeep actually could have made some more aerodynamic changes if they wanted to give us more range, but they wanted this to also be a Jeep. Now, I want to walk you over to this unlimited Sahara version. This is actually the high altitude. The Sahara and the high altitude models will have with these 20-inch black painted wheels. I really like the way these wheels look, actually. This wheel was first introduced on the high altitude gas version. It's standard on the Sahara version and this one. You can see you also have a Bridgestone Dueler road tire on this vehicle, although Jeep says that you still have almost 10 inches of ground clearance on this model. I also like the painted bumpers that you get on the high altitude model. This is the one that's more of the luxury oriented version. And all of the 4xe models will basically come with the 4 full doors, the unlimited version basically. And you're probably wondering, does the battery take up the cargo area? Well, Jeep says that you get around 27 cubic feet with the rear seat up. If you fold down the second row seat, you get around 67 cubic feet. That's about a 5 cubic feet reduction versus the gas-only version. So there really is little to no compromise if you guys want the 4xe model. Now, the exterior styling changes on the 4xe are pretty minimal, and that same story holds true when you get into the interior. When I get in and shut the door has the same kind of solidish thunk. Remember, these doors are removable, so it's not going to have that bank vault silent or solid thunk that you get in some other vehicles. Here's the key fob for the 4xe. It hasn't changed. I kind of wish that Jeep had kind of made this kind of blue in an outline to show that you had a special model, but the real magic happens when you start the Wrangler 4xe up, because as you can see, it just says ready underneath the tachometer to let you know that this model is on. There is no traditional electric or engine starter noise here because remember, you have a 17 kilowatt hour battery pack. And really, the interior of this model, I'm in the high altitude version because I wanted to show you guys some of the differences. Now, first of all, this is the more luxury oriented model. I really like the seats on this car. It has these really beautiful quilted leather look to the seats where you have this contrasting stitching. This is the black interior with the orange stitching. Jeep also offers a light gray option if you guys want. The Rubicon version also offers a black or a tan. The leather is around $1,700 optional or extra. It's standard, of course, on the high altitude version. And you can see these come pretty well equipped. You have the 8.4-inch Uconnect screen, and you also have, you know, the stitching along the dashboard, which is nice. The steering wheel also looks pretty good. I like the contrasting orange stitching. It is a manual tilt and telescope to the wheel, and then the horn, it has the traditional horn. It sounds pretty good, actually. I'm glad that Jeep never put kind of a puny sounding horn on a vehicle like this. Now, let's talk about the differences on the 4xe in terms of the features. Now, I mentioned the screen is the standard 8.4-inch screen. There's a nice little e-hybrid mode here. If you guys tap that little e-hybrid button there, you can see it'll show you kind of like a power flow. It'll show you your driving history, charging schedule, and then e-save. That's the mode that allows you to change between a battery save or a battery charge feature when you guys are cycling between the drive modes. The drive mode selector are 3 buttons over here on the left side of the steering wheel. You have hybrid, electric, and e-save. The car will automatically default to hybrid. Hybrid mode is where it's going to blend the gas engine and the electric motor and the battery packs to give you the best possible range. There's an electric mode, which will, of course, favor all electric use, although you guys will see in the test drive later, it doesn't allow for complete all electric if you put your foot down. Anytime the computer determines that you're demanding maximum acceleration, it'll automatically turn on the internal combustion engine, which I'm kind of sad that it does that. I wish that Jeep allowed for full electric even when my foot is all the way to the floor. And then e-save, like I mentioned earlier, preserves the battery so you can use it at a later date. There's also another button over here that shows kind of a blue battery. This is for the max regen on. This allows for essentially a one-pedal drive. When you lift your foot off the accelerator and don't touch the brake, this vehicle actually will slow down a pretty good amount. It's not complete one-pedal drive. It won't come to a full stop, but it is a nice feature to have because it will, again, recapture that kinetic energy and put it back into the battery pack. Now, another option that I want to show you guys that I've never showed you guys before, this particular one here has the one-touch sky panel roof. So it has the power retractable soft top, and it's basically like a pano sunroof. On the outside, it's got a full hard top, but when I push this button, you can see the soft top panel slides all the way back. And I really like this because removing the roof panels, even though Jeep has made it so much easier on this generation Wrangler, is kind of a pain. But when you have it like this, you can see it goes all the way back behind the second row, as my camera guy is sitting back there and showing you. And it allows for a real open air experience. I mean, this is probably the best part. It's a $4,000 option, and I'd say it's probably worth every penny. Now, it does mean that you can't completely remove the roof panels on this vehicle. You can remove the side panels in the back. But for $4,000, this convenience, where I can kind of just close it with a touch of a button or open it with a touch of a button, is definitely worth it for me. Now, because the 4xEs only come in the 4-door unlimited version, you're going to have a pretty useful backseat area. And I also want to show you guys where the battery pack lives. It is underneath this floor right here. You can even see the lithium ion, stickers, just reminding you this is a high voltage battery. This means that the battery lives in the cabin, which also helps to allow Jeep to control the temperature surrounding the battery, although the battery itself is already liquid cooled. Now, when I shut the door and get back here, it is pretty good in terms of space. Jeep says you have around 38 inches of legroom. The battery pack doesn't really take up anything in terms of the legroom, just a little bit in terms of the cargo area. You have your 2 USB ports over here, an actual power outlet, 2 map pockets as well, and the door panel materials are also pretty nice. So overall, I like how Jeep only offers it as the 4-door. So if you guys are looking for the 2-door, you have to step down from the 4xE because you can only get it with 4 full-size doors, which is probably how most Americans are going to want it anyways. Now, before we dive into the powertrain specs, this is a plug-in hybrid Wrangler, so you guys are probably wondering how long is it going to take to charge and where is the charge port. Now, Jeep actually provided this nice cutaway here so we can go more into detail with the powertrain. Here's the charge port door. Obviously it's on the driver's side in the front of the vehicle. It has the standard J1772 plug, which means if you guys have a level 2 charger, Jeep is installing a bunch of those at trailheads. It'll take around 2 to 2.5 hours to fully charge the 17 kilowatt hour battery pack. If you use the included level 1 charger, Jeep says it'll take around 12 hours, so roughly overnight, which is probably what most owners will be able to get away with. You don't technically need a level 2 if you guys are going to have a plug-in hybrid vehicle. Now, speaking of the powertrain, as you can see up front, we have the standard 2-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder. This is essentially a carryover motor that you're going to find in the standard e-torque Wrangler. The numbers are the same. Jeep says they make 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It even has the starter electric motor generator here, which provides around 44 horsepower. This replaces the starter and the alternator, and it's the same e-torque system. Now, the difference, of course, with the plug-in hybrid version, if you follow me over this way, it still uses an 8-speed automatic transmission. However, between the transmission and the drivetrain here, you're going to find a electric motor that delivers around 134 horsepower. This is what's unique, of course, to the plug-in hybrid version. It essentially also replaces the torque converter that's in the standard 8-speed automatic. But for those of you who don't like CVTs, you'll be really happy to see that there's a standard 8-speed automatic here. Combined output when you factor in the electric motor and the gas engine is 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. Jeep says that the electric motor can deliver around 181-ish pound-feet of torque on its own, and this vehicle has the ability to drive on electric power alone for around 21 miles. Jeep originally had claimed it would be around 25, but final EPA figures were a little bit less. Now, this right here is the electric cabin heater. So for those of you who live in cold areas and you're wondering, can you actually heat this car without the gas engine? This is what's actually going to provide heat inside the cabin without having to fire up the gas engine to provide the heat. And then if you follow me over to this area here, Jeep calls this the super module. This is where all the electronics are housed, and they're actually enclosed in a housing, and they have a tough skid plate underneath. So again, the off-road capability is preserved, and you don't have to worry about that stuff getting damaged when you're out on the trail. And then over here, of course, is the 17 kilowatt hour battery pack. Jeep says it's a lithium ion battery pack. It prefers temperatures that humans prefer, so around the 60 to 80 to 90 degree temperature. The battery is actually inside the cabin underneath the rear seat. It is liquid cooled, it is climate controlled, so the battery pack is designed to run more in the ideal temperature range, but Jeep says that this battery pack will provide up to 21 miles of range. The actual usable capacity is actually a little bit less to kind of preserve the longevity of the battery. In terms of the gas fuel economy, the 4xe will get around 20 miles per gallon combined. If you combine the electric motor and the gas engine, the EPA says it'll do around 49 mpge. Now, the beauty about the 4xe is you don't actually have to make any compromises, because this car will still tow a maximum of 3,500 pounds and 0 to 60 times around the 6-second range. The big difference, of course, with this model, with all this extra stuff, it weighs in around 800 pounds more than a regular Wrangler. So this one, as it sits, is around 5,200 pounds. So I thought I was in Austin, Texas, but from the scenery, it looks like Jeep has transported us back to Jurassic Park, because we're here in a drop-top Wrangler. We're on our way to this off-road course, and we're gonna see what the electrified 4xe can do out on these conditions. Now, there's a little puddle of water over here. Jeep says that this car is capable of going through 30 inches of water. Obviously, this is more like 3 inches. But it's always fun to go through some water whenever you're off-roading. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier is when you're sitting inside the car, there is a nice little LED status bar here that shows how much charge is remaining in the vehicle when you have it plugged in. Each of the LED lights light up in sequence, and they get a little bit more full whenever the battery gets more charge in it. I think the coolest part about the 4xe when you're off-roading is the fact that the 4-wheel drive system in this Wrangler is exactly the same as the gas-only version. You still have the Dana 44 sway bar disconnect features. I mean, I'm in 4 low right now, and it's in all electric mode. I've got around 33% of the battery left, and you can just creep along here in completely all EV mode in 4 low. That is the first time that you're ever experiencing something like this. And if you guys have always wanted a drop top convertible that's electric, there has been nothing on the market until now. This is the first one, really. All right, so as opposed to the puddle earlier, now we're going through an actual little, I guess, a stream right now, but this is where Jeep is going to allow us to test the 30 inches of water fording capability. And this is probably something that I know this is something I've never done, is drive in all electric mode through this stream. And this is pretty deep water. You can hear it on the outside. And the Rubicon model is the one that you're gonna want, because this is the one that gives you almost 11 inches of ground clearance. Wow, this is pretty deep. I'm pretty impressed. And the fact that it's quiet out here, I don't hear a thing other than just water splashing.
Holy shit.
This is pretty deep. So now I'm supposed to go up this. This is kind of terrifying. Okay. Wow. And the instant torque from the electric motor, I just barely touch the throttle and this thing just surges forward. But yeah, just like the regular Wrangler, the 4xe makes any kind of off-road trail feel and look really easy, but that's something that I would be hesitant to take my own vehicle through, that's for sure. This is scary, but the all-electric torque makes it so easy. I barely have to touch the throttle. This is so strange.
There's no roughing at all. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's so quiet out here too. I mean, this is the future of off-roading right here. And leave it to Jeep to be the first one to do it. No, he just scraped the wheel really bad on it.
Yeah, it sounded like something scraped.
Yeah, he scraped the wheel really bad on it. You can see the rock where it got scraped.
Oh, this is going to be a good shot for the side camera.
Ooh!
They said we would hear it. Oh, God. This is good. Just look at all the, you can see the
You can
chunks
see
that are-
where, yeah, you can literally see where it's scraped.
Oh, that was them, okay. So far, so good, John.
Okay. That wasn't so bad.
It's like I can see his hands.
There you go. Pull forward. Turn driver.
Oh gosh, that.
Bring it up. Bring it up. Okay, stop there. Hit that locker button down just one time. That'll disengage your front. It'll blink at you, but it'll take care of itself as you pull forward.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to go up? Okay.
Thank God for skid plates.
What's left of them? Ever driven off the side of a cliff before, Sofian?
All right.
Yeah, this
Hold
is.
up. Having fun yet?
It's pretty. It's what's really cool is that it's quiet.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's just the
Behind
skid
us.
plates. That's what they're designed for.
Okay. Oh. So it's. Okay.
He's really not taking you the hard way.
Okay.
That's it. Nice and easy. Turn some more. That's it. Perfect. That's it.
Okay.
Jason's got you down there.
Oh wow, this is a lot steeper than it looks. Oh my gosh, it's terrifying.
The camera's about to fall out of my lap.
Okay, okay. It's like a roller coaster ride right now. Okay, yes, wow. That's a 27, 28, 29 degree pitch right there. Oh, jeez. Wow, that was terrifying. That was terrifying. Okay. Okay. And we're still in all electric right now.
Right? How much did you regenerate from that hill?
Probably nothing, but that was terrifying. Like my foot was not, I was like, I'm not letting go of this brake. Like, God, I don't know if I trusted it to actually use the brake. I was like, it did, yeah.
There's a T-Rex behind us. You have to floor it, Sofian.
Woo! That is so cool. All right, this thing is way more fun off-roading than it is on the road. Wow.
When you floored it then, it didn't kick the gas engine in though? Or did you actually floor?
That was only like literally just a
Okay,
little bit of
yeah.
throttle. That wasn't
Yeah,
much.
no,
If you go past 50%, I notice it'll turn the engine on, but
When we're ready to go, I'll have you go ahead and actually flip that locker switch up for me. That'll engage the front and the rear.
okay.
Just helps out quite a bit going up this. This can get a little slippery, a little slidey. Nothing to be concerned about. If we slide around a little bit, we'll get it fixed and get you on up.
Okay.
I'm going to run out in front of you. We'll get you up this, and then Kevin will take it from there. So.
Sounds great. Thanks.
We should do a quick little intro of what the fuck you're about to do right now.
Okay.
'Cause
So right now, Jeep wants me to go up this mountain with lots of boulders on it, or ridges.
look at this.
I'm
You're about to do that.
I'm kind of terrified, but I've got spotters to help me, so let's see how the 4xe does out there. I've got both of the lockers on right now. Sway bar is disconnected. We're in 4 low.
There's literally like a wall of rock.
Yeah, I literally see a wall of rock in front of me and they want me to drive up it. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay.
This is your roller coaster.
This is a 33 degree pitch right here.
Jesus.
Oh, the gas engine came on. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh.
I would go less aggressive with the throttle inputs personally.
So I'm trying to go a little less aggressive, but it's very touchy.
Good, right. And now put it in drive.
Okay.
The cab's gonna get you down this other side.
Cool.
That's where it gets real.
Now it gets real. Good.
Oh gosh. Okay. Oh gosh. Woo.
It's like, hey, we're trying.
Let's put your front locker in. There you go. Driver, keep coming.
Oh god. Oh god.
You're all right. I love it. I love it.
Whew.
Doing good. Straighten it out just a teeny bit. There you go. Now there's gonna be a couple little drops.
Oh
Kind of
god.
like coming down a waterfall here.
God.
Just like you're going. Just like you're going. Just like that. Keep coming nice and slow. Good. Little driver for me. Perfect.
This is pretty steep.
How you feeling, Sofyan?
Scared.
You're the one with control.
Perfect. Your front end's about to drop off now.
Oh, good. Now it's about to drop off.
Straight at me.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh shit. Oh god.
I'm using the DSLR now.
35-inch or 35-degree pitch right now. Oh god. Oh my god, this is so terrifying.
Just like that. Coming straight. And a little driver.
Need new underwear?
I feel like I should go kiss the ground after this.
That was awesome.
Yeah. That was pretty gnarly.
Said 35 degrees.
Yeah. Wow. Is the camera okay?
I'm holding on to it.
Oh good,
so
oh good. Okay.
I kind of caught it as it was shooting out of the here. Sorry, Adam, we need a new camera.
All part of the job. So from in the car, it never looks all that tough or scary, but as you're gonna see, we have another journalist coming down this gnarly hill, and you're gonna see just how steep and terrifying it actually was.
Straighten out. Come right on down. Little driver. Perfect. Little passenger. Now come back down. Just like that. Nothing to it.
He made it a little too easy. That was his second or third time going down, so that's not fair. Now, with over 200,000 sales here in America, the all-new JL Wrangler is definitely one of the best Wranglers that the company has ever produced. In fact, between the 4xe model and all the other powertrains, Jeep offers a total of 6 different powertrain configurations for you to choose from. So how do you possibly choose between all of those different engines? Well, I've essentially driven all of them except for the 392. I'll be driving that in a couple months when Jeep sends that to me at my home. The V8 powered Wrangler is obviously the one that, as an enthusiast, calls to me. However, after spending the day driving the 4xe, the plug-in hybrid model, I'm actually really impressed, and I think this is probably the Wrangler that you're going to want to get for several reasons. Obviously, you guys saw with the acceleration performance, 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. The 21 miles of all-electric range is very achievable. And as you guys also saw, the off-road capability of these models is not compromised. Now, of course, could Jeep have made the range a little bit better by giving us a little bit more rolling resistant tires, more aerodynamic upgrades? Yes, but I think that they went the right route by keeping the off-road capability and also preserving the looks, because nobody's going to want to drive a Wrangler with active grille shutters and these puny little wheels with low rolling resistance tires just to get a couple 1 or 2 miles of range out of the electric only range. Now, of course, the big question if you guys are looking at the Wrangler 4xe is, what is this model going to cost? Because Wranglers are pretty expensive. They do start at just under 30 grand for a base version. However, if you guys want the 4xe, you're going to have to pay at least $48,000 plus destination for the Sahara trim. If you guys want to step up to the Rubicon version, this one here starts at around $52,000. That represents a $9,000 increase, of course, over the standard version. Now, I want to point out, of course, that the 4xe models come pretty well equipped. They come with most of the optional features that you have to add extra on the gas-only version. So if you comparably equip a 4xe to a gas-powered version of the Wrangler, the price difference is actually more along the lines between $2,000 to $4,000. This engine is actually around the same price as the diesel version, actually maybe a little bit less. And at that price, plus the $7,500 federal tax credit, it makes the 4xe really appealing, especially if you qualify for the tax credit. Most people do. Essentially, this model here you're looking at, the Rubicon, is around $62,000. This one here is around $58,000. Remember, Wranglers can get over 60 grand if you guys spec in all the options, but it does, again, qualify for that tax credit, so you could theoretically pay less for something like this and enjoy that electric-only range. So my recommendation, if you guys are looking at a Wrangler and you never considered an electrified version, be sure to put the 4xe at the very top of your list, because it is an interesting car for a lot of you who commute less than 20 miles to and from work, and it also makes it a little bit cheaper when you factor in those federal tax credits. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. These are already at showrooms now, so you can head over to your local Jeep dealership and pick one of these up. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.